The rainbow fish with texture. To begin your fish, draw an oval on your paper, and one end should be kind of pointy. Next, use a curvy line to create your tail and your fins. Next, you'll want to create an oval for the face, and you can add some little triangles or a little line for the mouth. Continue if you want to outline your fish with one color or more than one color. Once you finish outlining, we're going to begin adding texture. The texture of a fish is scales. So this line that I created, I'm going to keep creating the same line with different colors to create a pattern of texture. A pattern is something that repeats. So I'm repeating blue, green, purple, blue, green, purple until the end of my fish. On your fins, you can use curvy lines or straight lines to add texture. Don't forget to put an eye in using a circle, inside of a circle. You can use a marker to add any other details. If you don't have marker, you can use crayon or colored pencil or even pencil. Once you finish, you can color in your fish. Remember to color in a pattern. I'm coloring all my purple areas with purple crayon, and I'm going to continue with blue, green, purple, blue, green, purple, blue, green, purple in a pattern. Remember that a pattern repeats. Textures are sometimes filled with patterns. Here's an example of another fish. Use an oval to create the body. Add little triangles or pointy lines for a mouth. Next, use curved lines to create fins. If you don't like the way something looks, erase it and redraw. Add in a curved line for your face shape and your eye using circles. Next, begin adding color. Outline your fish. It's okay if you color outside the lines by accident, because if you're going to collage, you'll be cutting your fish out. Remember that texture is the way something looks or feels. We're going to be drawing the texture scales by using a bumpy line over the entire fish's body. Then use curved lines for the fins. Once you finish adding your texture, you can color in. We're trying to create a pattern on our fish. My pattern is pink, then orange. Pink, orange, pink, orange. If you're going to be creating your artwork on one paper, you can begin drawing texture with lines. Start with the sand at the bottom of your underwater scene. Using a brown and yellow crayon, you can create curvy lines. You can also use the side of the crayon to create a lighter texture. Don't forget to add yellow over your brown sand texture to help make it brighter. Now let's add some seaweed. Using a curvy line, create an organic shape, and then add extra curvy lines for texture inside of the seaweed. Think about all the things that could possibly be underwater. You can add whatever plants or sea creatures you want to add. Maybe there's a buried treasure chest or starfish, other fish, maybe there's cool rocks or seashells. I'm drawing a big organic shape sea coral. And think about what kinds of textures are on these items. How might they feel? How would you draw how they feel? Are they bumpy? Are they smooth? Rough? Scratchy? Use different lines and shapes in different colors to show how these items might feel. In the background, you'll use curvy lines to show the water's waves. This will be your water texture. If you have paint, you can also paint the background of your fish. If you're using the watercolors from your art bag, make sure you put a little drop or two of water in each of the paint wells before you start mixing it into color. These are watercolors, so they need water in order to turn into paint. You can also paint some lines for extra wave texture. If you're making a textured collage with paper, this is what it might look like. You'll need blue, green, and brown paper. On your blue paper, begin adding lines that might look like ocean waves or underwater texture. You can use crayon, paint, marker, whatever you have to draw your lines. Add as many different lines as you can that remind you of water. Use lines that are curvy, wavy, or spirally. You can create dark lines or light lines by adding more or less water to your paint or pressing hard or lightly. When you're finished, set aside to dry. On your green paper, we'll be drawing curvy lines again to show seaweed texture. Draw these lines closer together using a dark green crayon. Then, using your scissors, cut out curvy lines to create the shape of a seaweed. You can make some that are tall, some that are short or wide. You only need about 3 to 5 different pieces. Next, on your brown paper, you'll be creating the sand at the bottom of your underwater scene. Using brown crayon, add some bumpy lines for texture, and if you have paint, you can use brown and yellow to create more color and dimension in your sand. Then set aside to dry. Once all your paper is dry, you can start cutting it out. Cut out your sand and begin by measuring where it will go and glue it on. I glued down one end because one side was a little too long, so I'm gluing that corner and sticking it down, then flip to cut off the excess paper. Next, add some of your seaweed, glue until you can see the color, and stick it down by pressing firmly. You might want help from a grown-up to cut out your fish. I always say the first step is to free the shape. So cut quickly around your fish to get rid of the extra paper, and then go back in carefully and cut on top of the outline that you made. Then glue your fish onto your paper and add any extra seaweed pieces you want. Use aluminum foil to create some rainbow fish sparkly scales. Cut out ovals and then cut them in half. Add glue and stick them in place. You can choose whichever method works best for you. Hope you have fun!